Ladies and gentlemen, I am Peggy Odell, and I have the great privilege to serve as the Deputy Director for Operations of the National Park Service. And it's also my pleasure to welcome you today to the Sidney R. Yates Auditorium for this wonderful, wonderful event, the unveiling of the portrait of Dirk Kempthorne, the 49th Secretary of the Interior. Let's hear it for the Secretary. Now we'd like to welcome the artist to the stage, the gentleman who did this wonderful portrait that we're about to see, Michael Shane Neal. Please come on up, Michael. Mr. Neal is a Nashville-based painter who has completed nearly 500 portraits, including one of Senator Arthur Vandenberg that hangs in the United States Capitol. So we're anxious to see your wonderful work.
Thank you. When I was a kid growing up in Nashville, Tennessee, my grandfather used to say to me often that you know a man in two ways. You know what he looks like, and you know who he is on the inside. When I began to paint portraits as a professional portrait painter, I have thought often about my grandfather and what he said. Because likeness is actually two things. Likeness is what you see on the outside, and that's a measurable thing. I'm convinced I can teach everybody here how to do that, how far the distance is between the eyes as it relates to the nose. We happen to know that Dirk Kempthorne is a good-looking guy. Absolutely. I was saying to somebody earlier, it's almost unfair to be good-looking and have all the smarts as well. But, you know, as a painter, I'm going into the idea with, I've got to get those measurements just right so I can achieve that outer likeness. But then there's that who you are, that inside that's so important, the essential character of a person that you're painting. And Dirk Kempthorne is a very special guy, a guy who is comfortable, is confident, a leader, a man who is very approachable. And one of the things that I knew from the first moment I met him is how warm and approachable he was and is. And those are things that meant so much to me as I approach this blank white canvas and I'm trying to achieve something of the man on the canvas. So I certainly hope today that you agree that I got the outer likeness as well. But even more importantly, I hope that there's something of the man, the spirit of the man that comes through as well. And I want to thank Secretary Kempthorne so much for choosing me to portray you for the Department of Interior. And Mrs. Kempthorne, I'm really excited to have had this opportunity. And I want to thank the Department of Interior for collecting my work among the very handsome portrait collection that is here and is a part of the legacy of the department. Thank you.
And it is now my great, great privilege to introduce Governor, Senator, Secretary of the Interior, Dirk Kempthorne.
Shane, you are one of America's great portrait painters. Thank you for what you are doing. Today, this reminds me of a scene from an old Western. This is the first time I will be framed and hanged. This portrait, with the magnificent ability of one of America's great portrait painters, like all of the portraits of previous secretaries, personifies on canvas an image of who is in charge, who was the spokesperson, who was the final decision maker, and finally, who will ultimately be held accountable by history for that period's ledger. It's a fascinating process. And this particular artist used the same process and materials for a portrait on canvas that has been used for well over 500 years. So let's unveil the portrait that marks a moment in time in the life of this wonderful department. And we can all determine in our own hearts and minds if we got it right. Thank you.